The Orange Tree Theatre is a 168-seat theatre at 1 Clarence Street, Richmond in southwest London, which was built specifically as a theatre in the round. It is housed within a disused 1867 primary school, built in Victorian Gothic style. The theatre was founded in 1971 by its previous artistic director, Sam Walters, and his actress wife Auriol Smith in a small room above the Orange Tree pub opposite the present building, which opened in 1991. Paul Miller, previously associate director at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield, is the artistic director. He succeeded Walters, the UK's longest-serving theatre director, who retired from the Orange Tree Theatre in June 2014. The Orange Tree Theatre specialises in staging new plays and neglected classics. It has a community and education programme that reaches over 20,000 young people every year. The theatre won the Empty Space Peter Brook Award in 2006 and 2015. The first Orange Tree Theatre, as a company, the Orange Tree Theatre, then known as the Richmond Fringe, was founded on the 31st of December 1971 by Sam Walters and Auriol Smith in a small room above the Orange Tree pub, close to Richmond railway station. 6 former church pews, arranged around the performing area, were used to seat an audience of up to 80 in number. Initially, productions were staged in daylight and at lunch times, but when theatre lighting and window blinds were installed, matinee and evening performances of full-length plays also became possible. The London critics regularly reviewed its productions, and the venue gained a reputation for quality and innovation, with theatre-goers queuing on the stairs, waiting to purchase tickets. The new Orange Tree Theatre. As audience numbers increased, there was pressure to find a more accommodating space both front and backstage. On the 14th of February 1991, the company opened its first production across the road in the current premises, the new Orange Tree Theatre. The theatre is housed within a converted primary school, St John's, which had been built in 1867 and had become derelict. The school was in Victorian Gothic style, and the architect is likely to have been Arthur Blomfield. Meanwhile, the original theatre, renamed The Room, continued to function as a second stage for shorter runs and works in translation until 1997. Design and conversion. The school conversion and construction design were undertaken by Ian McIntosh's head of the theatre projects consultants team. The design intent was to retain the same sense of intimacy as the old theatre, thus calling for an unusually small acting area. The solution was to create at stage level no more than 3 rows of shallow raked seating on any side of the acting area, plus an irregular, timber-clad gallery above of only 1 row under which actors could circulate on 2 sides to reach the stage entrances at all 4 corners of the playing space. Foyers and dressing rooms were sited in the rebuilt house of the former headmaster, while the theatre space itself is built where once were the assembly hall and school playground. Any fears that the special atmosphere of the old theatre would be lost proved unfounded, and close links were formed with the Stephen Joseph Theatre in Scarborough, also founded as an in the round theatre by Sir Alan Ayckbourn. Costs of development. The total construction and conversion cost, including shell, fitting out, fees etc., was estimated at £1,750,000. The developers County and District Properties and Grosvenor Developments provided the shell structure, worth £1 million, as a planning gain for a development which also included the European headquarters of Pepsi-Cola International. This left £750,000 to be raised by an appeal, launched in 1988 by Richmond residents Sir Richard and Lady Attenborough. 2003 extension. In 2003, the former Royal Bank of Scotland building next door to the new theatre was modified and reopened as a dedicated space for rehearsals, set building and costume storage, significantly expanding and improving its operation. Arts Council funding. In July 2014, Arts Council England removed the theatre from its list of national portfolio organisations for 2015 to 2018, which means the theatre has to bridge the funding gap with that from external sources. In July 2016, Arts Council England announced that it would be awarding £75,000 to the Orange Tree Theatre over the next 3 years as part of the Catalyst Evolve Fund, which matches fundraised income, repertory, as well as producing the first 6 plays by Martin Crimp, plays by Susan Glaspell, and developing a reputation for theatrical rediscoveries. The Orange Tree repertory has also included many special seasons for the work of James Saunders, Michelle Vineva, Rodney Ackland, Václav Havel, Harley Granville Barker, and Bernard Shaw, and his contemporaries, including John Galsworthy. In Paul Miller's first season, he presented revivals of plays by George Bernard Shaw, D.H. Lawrence, and Doris Lessing, as well as premiering plays by Alistair McDowell, Deborah Bruce, and Alice Birch. The theatre's 2014 production of Alistair McDowell's Pomona was well received by the critics, and it transferred to the National Theatre and Royal Exchange Theatre in autumn 2015. The Orange Tree Theatre's production of Deborah Bruce's play The Distance, which received a 4-starred review in The Guardian in 2014, returned to the Orange Tree in November 2015, following a run at Sheffield's Crucible studio. For the core repertory, see the separate articles on Paul Miller, Sam Walters, and Auriol Smith, but many other directors have made notable contributions, including The Lady of the Tiger, directed by Michael Richmond, August 1975, A Fortune Theatre 1976. The Nest, directed by Anthony Clark, April 1981. Wild Women, directed by Michael Richmond, December 1981. Astoria Theatre 1982. The Backy, directed by Anthony Cornish, February 1983. Brotherhood, directed by Oliver Ford Davies, November 1985. Definitely the Bahamas, directed by Alec McCowan, September 1987. Mrs. Warren's Profession, directed by Brian Cox, starring Natasha Parry and Irina Brooke, September 1989. Adam Bede, directed by Geoffrey Beavers, February 1990. Time Out Award. Pegoriot, directed by Geoffrey Beavers, February 1994. Private Fears in Public Places, an extended version of his play directed for the Orange Tree by the author, May 2005. The Linden Tree, directed by Christopher Morahan, February 2006. Shakes vs. Shav and the Tinker's Wedding, directed by Henry Bell, June 2007. The Years Between, directed by Caroline Smith, September 2007. Next Door's Baby, a musical play directed by Paul Prescott, February 2008. Chains of Dew, directed by Kate Saxon, March 2008. De Montfort, directed by Imogen Bond, April 2008. The Story of Vasco, directed by Adam Barnard, March 2009. Alison's House, directed by Joe Coombs, October 2009. The Promise, directed by Alan Strachan, February 2010. Taking Steps, directed by the author, March 2010. The Ruffian on the Stair, directed by Emma Faulkner, June 2010. Tom's a Cold, directed by Laura Davies, June 2010. The Company Man, directed by Adam Barnard, October 2010. Autumn and Winter, translated by Gunilla Anderman, May 2011. Three Farces, directed by Henry Bell, June 2011. Winter, directed by Tjunke van der Suijs, June 2011. Then the Snow Came, inspired by Oscar Wilde's short story, The Happy Prince, written and directed by Jimmy Grimes, June 2011. The Man Who Pays the Piper, directed by Helen Lebleek, March 2013. Middlemarch, adapted as a trilogy by Geoffrey Beevers, who also directed it, autumn 2013, winter 2014. It Just Stopped, directed by David Antrobus, February 2014. Chris Monks has twice brought his particular vision of Gilbert and Amp Sullivan, in productions of The Mikado and The Pirates of Penzance, which have broken away from the Savoyard tradition. In September 2008, the Orange Tree presented the English-language premiere of Leaving by Václav Havel, which had its Czech premiere in Prague in May 2008. This was the first play Havel had written since the events of 1989 propelled him into political office. The play, which has echoes of King Lear and The Cherry Orchard, concerns the leaving of office of Chancellor Riga and his eviction from the state villa which has been his home. Although it may appear to have an autobiographical element, Havel began writing it in the late 1980s with no idea that he would soon be his country's leader. Trainee Director Scheme, Resident Director Post. From 1986 to 2014 the theatre ran a Trainee Director Scheme, each year appointing 2 young assistant directors. Graduates of this scheme included Rachel Kavanagh, Timothy Shedder, Sean Holmes, Dominic Hill and Anthony Clark. This was replaced by a Resident Director position in 2014-15. Awards. The Orange Tree Theatre won the Empty Space Peter Brook Award in 2006 and 2015.